So what's up, guys? I just kind of thought it was about time that I go ahead and post another video, since it's been a very long time since I posted something. And since my last post, I've done a lot to my car entirely. I'm assuming performance-wise, I've done more mods, which I'll get to right now, exactly what I did recently. And I've done a lot of exterior mods too. As you can tell, I mean, I'm not going to talk about my exterior mods, but I did get the lower and upper RTR grille with the Space City badge in the front. It looks pretty badass, pretty much when I'm driving at night. During the day too, it looks pretty cool, like a lot. So recently I've seen a lot of people on YouTube, I'm always on forums and all that, always talking about the 2018 manifold. So I started doing my research, I looked into it, and I was currently tuned with Bama. But unfortunately they were not able to tune an 18 manifold, so I kind of went on VMP site and I ended up getting the package of a 2018 manifold. I got an E85 tune from them and I got an E91 tune, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, the difference from Bama to VMP, I'm not talking shit about Bama, I respect them, everything, but VMP tune was way more smoother than Bama, that's for sure. I ended up picking up some 47-pound injectors as well, and I'm gonna tell you guys, there is a very big difference from the stock manifold on the 17s, the 15s and 16s and 17s to the 18. You really do feel that power. It's crazy. Especially I love fucking hearing that engine roar when you go to like 7,900 RPM. Yeah, you can't beat that. The reason why I went with the 18s is because I was originally gonna get the GT50 intake manifold, which was about 1,100, as you guys could see when you guys do your site searching when you're looking for manifolds. Obviously, this one right here cost me $280. And the power gains, if you guys seen the video that VMP released about a month ago when they compared 5 intake manifolds, which I believe it was the Cobra, the Boss, the actual Ford truck manifold, 18 manifold, and the stock. This was pretty much better than the GT50. It pretty much outperformed it, not by dramatically, but by a decent amount. Anyway, so this is the 18 manifold. It took me about 3 to 4 hours to install it, just because I was taking my time. I wanted to double check everything, especially I had to change out the injectors too. What I did find out about the injectors is that it just makes the car run way more smoother, because before, when I used to have the Bama tune on there, it kind of just felt like it was choking on itself sometimes. And now with the injectors, I feel like it's just throwing enough fuel in there to make the car get up and go. Other than that, yeah, it was a good buy. It was a good buy. So pretty much this video is going to be, I already installed it, but for you guys who are looking for I'm just going to show you what exactly what I ended up doing as far as installation goes. A lot of people kept there's this big ass hose that they tell to use to do all the vacuum lines. I ended up just teeing up with a T. It just looks way more cleaner than having that big nasty hose. Something that VMP told me to do, so I went ahead and did that. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of explain to you guys exactly right now. I know it's already installed, but what you guys will look for when you guys are installing your manifold. So first off, guys, what I did with the first installation, when I started my installation, was you have to remove your intake. You have to remove the whole intake. So mine, you pretty much take off all the sensors. You would take this off. If you have a hose here for the sound tube, obviously I had a sound tube delete. You would take this off. Some of the intakes, if you guys have an aftermarket intake, would have a port down here. Mine doesn't have it, so I didn't need to do any taking off down here in the bottom. But what you would want to do is pretty much the only tools you really need is socket wise is an 8mm and a 10mm, pretty much realistically to do the whole freaking job. I did switch out some of the clamps that this car had with actual hose clamps, because the clamps that I was dealing with are fucking annoying. They're the kind of ones you have to pinch together and then you have to move them, and yeah, it didn't work so well for that. It took me a while to take those fucking things off. But yeah, what you want to do is you would take off the MAP sensor, you would take off all this stuff, then you would have your whole intake off, which will leave your throttle body. The next step I did was obviously I would take off my throttle body. Like I said, these use 8mm sockets right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 right here. So right here. You would take this off, disconnect the sensor right here from the throttle body, and just completely take that off, which will leave the manifold left. What I did, a lot of people usually go underneath the back seat to take off the fuel pump, because you want to release all the pressure in the fuel rail, so that way when you take off the fuel line, a lot of gas don't squirt out on your face. So what I did, what I read online was easier, is to just take off this one. If you take this one off, that's what pretty much powers up the fuel pump. So when you take this off, you would crank the car and it would pretty much die out. I did like 2 cranks, and that way it could depressurize the fuel rail. That way there's no fuel when you take off the fuel line. It's just take it off and there's no fuel coming out. So the next thing I did was pretty much I would take off my oil catch can. I took all this off right here, and you would pretty much take these bolts off. Just 8mm, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this would allow you would just pretty much get this hose, you would move it to the corner like this. You would be able to take this thing off, take this foam, it's for both sides, same thing. You would take this off, take the bracket off, and you would be able to take the foam that pretty much protects your injectors. And then from there, once you have this off, there's going to be 4 sensors on both sides. You can't really see them right here, but there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you would just detach from your injectors. So once you detach all that, there's going to be 4 additional bolts underneath all this down there. Obviously I can't show you. Oh, you can actually see it right here. These bolts right there, there's 1, and there'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are the 4 bolts. They use 10mm sockets to take off the fuel rail. That's simple as that. Once you take these 4 off, you take all the sensor off, all you really gotta do with the fuel rail is just pick it up and it pops right off, and you see all your injectors will be on it. Like I said, I did do 47-pound injectors, so I had to switch all my injectors out. That's pretty simple. There's a lot of YouTube videos that show you how to change your injectors out. It's just pretty much you take off the little bracket on the injector, take off the injector, and just put the new one in and put the bracket back on. Simple as that. So pretty much once you have your fuel rail off, you just pretty much the manifold next, and the manifold's gonna have 6 bolts. Once you take off the whole fuel rail, it's gonna be 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you take that off, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna lift it from up here first. You're gonna lift it like this, and then like this. So you're gonna pick it up like this and lift it from the back, which allows you to get the sensors. Be aware they're all gonna be connected, so you don't wanna pick it up hard because you may break a wire. So you wanna take off this sensor. There's a sensor back here in the stock manifold, the blue ones right here. There's gonna be 2 white ones in the back where the IMRCs are at, in the back. And there's gonna be 2 sensors underneath the manifold you wanna take off. Pretty much once you take all that off, the sensors, it's super simple. You're gonna want to just pick up the whole thing and take it off. So once you take off your manifold, you're gonna have your intake ports, I don't know what you call them, you know, open. What I did, I got 8 rags. I just plugged them up. That way it's safe. That way you don't have any bolts or anything going in them, because if you do have a bolt in there, you're pretty fucked. It's gonna be a situation you're not gonna want to get yourself into. So I recommend you guys put rags in there, or you guys just tape it off with tape. Just tape alongside the ports, and that way you could not worry about that. I ended up keeping my IMRCs control valves because VMP told me that's how they tune theirs. That's how they like to tune them. I see a lot of videos in the internet that do lockouts. That's just probably what the tuners suggest whoever your tuner is to do for your car. What I read with the lockouts, when you do you kind of lose a little bit of torque in the down low. There's not really a difference. I kept my I just bought pigtails, which allows you to use the intake manifold, just pretty much plug and play. There was no soldering. You had to do no cutting of wire, splicing. It was just simple. Just buy the pigtails from VMP and just plug and play. So pretty much once you take off the manifold, what you're gonna want to do is obviously put the new manifold in, and it's pretty much the same process how you took it out. You would just pretty much plug everything back in. Simple as that. Same thing for the fuel rod. You put the fuel rod back in, put everything back, and that's pretty much how you would do. Now, what I did for the wiring, because I know there's not a lot of videos that shows you how to do the wiring. This is the brake booster. It goes from right here, this line. So like I said, in your stock intake, you're gonna have this big ass ugly thing from the stock manifold from the 15, 16 to 17. I went ahead, it's simple. I went to O'Reilly's. You could just buy a vacuum tee and 3/8 inch ID vacuum tubing. This is what you're gonna need, 3/8 inch ID vacuum tubing. That's all you need. You're gonna have to take off your old sensor, which is this part, from your old manifold, and this pretty much you could put, it's gonna hang anywhere. I just found it, I just installed it like this, just going upward. It doesn't hit the hood or anything, it's safe. But what I did, like I said, I teed it off. So this hose is gonna go right here in this tee. This is your brake booster. If you're using, this is for IMRCs. If you're gonna need, this is not for lockout, just so you guys know, this installation is using your IMRCs controls. So the tubing, the wiring you're gonna do is you're gonna get this brake booster tubing, you're gonna connect it to this T. This top portion of the T is gonna go to the secondary. It's gonna go pour it in, you're gonna put it in here. And this one is gonna go all the way to the back into your actual manifold, which allows the vacuum to go inside and open up your IMRCs. Other than that, that's just how I did it. Like I said, this clip goes in here. This goes into the second port of the new manifold, and you pretty much connect all this back. Like I said, I had to cap this off because I had a sound tube delete on mine, so sound tube. And other than that, that's pretty much what the install is. You put your catch back on, your intake back on, your throttle body back on, all your sensors. Make sure you double check as you're doing installation that everything's right. Put the fuel rail back on, and that's pretty much it. And that's kind of what I did with my install. So yeah, guys, my opinion is that get the manifold. You're gonna really love that power. My buddy who's recording the camera, he's my guy. I always come to his house. We always work on our cars here, and he even told me he felt the difference. Like I said, you're gonna like your car roaring and screaming at 7,900 RPM. It's just, once you hit, I feel like the difference from stock, and overall it's better in every part of the power band. It's just better overall. But I feel it really kicks in torque and horsepower wise once you pass like that 4,500 RPM. That's where you really just like, you just feel that kick, that feeling in your pants, pretty much, in the seat, whatever you want to call it. But but yeah, guys, so if you guys like the video, please subscribe, and there'll be more videos coming soon. Definitely my next mod will be obviously the long tube headers, and I'll pretty much be full bolts on. Again, I am riding ethanol in my car, the 85, so that's what I'm tuned for right now. For all those people that say 85 is bad for your car, it's not. It's a beautiful thing to put in the car. It runs way better, smoother. But other than that, yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.